Hi, my name's Jeff Stevens and I'm the founder and director of Psthways Care Farm in Lowestoft in Suffolk. I would much rather be with you and talk to you firsthand because I find that much easier than trying to talk to a camera. But I'll do my best to try and give you an introduction into care farming as I see it, and also a little bit about the experiences that we've had in our shortish journey to get to where we are now. In a way, we're a bit unique because our farm is right on the edge of town. It used to be a much larger farm, but then the council sold off quite a chunk of it, and a small section, 13 acres, was left, which had some lovely old buildings which needed a lot of repairs, and it needed a lot of upkeep because the ground had become quite overgrown. There were a lot of brambles. It was all part of our journey, but the location is absolutely brilliant, and I think that really helps us a lot because we have clients who can get to us quite easily. If anxiety would be a problem in getting transportation, by getting a couple of buses or a taxi on a long journey to get to a farm that was in a more rural setting, then we don't have that problem because we are literally a stone's throw from the local Tesco's, and to get to us you come through a housing estate. So it's actually, we are almost part of the town, and yet we've got this lovely location which I think is a real bonus for us and does help us pick up clients. Having said that, I'll give you a bit of introduction. We started the charity 5.5 years ago. I'm not a farmer and I hadn't worked in care, but I'd got to a point in my life where I wanted to make a change, and the opportunity came up to tender for the land. I have got a passion for charity. I've got a passion for people with dementia in particular, but also with mental health. And I've run a business for a number of years, so therefore putting a business plan together and trying to run the charity has brought out some of the skills maybe that I've gained in other, in earlier parts of my career. So we started 5.5 years ago, and we were fortunate enough to get a nice lease from Suffolk County Council for this 13-acre farm. As I say, it needed a lot of repairs, it needed a lot of work doing to it. So for the first 18 months or so, we cleared brambles, we repaired holes in roofs, we fixed doors, and we tried to make it accessible. After 18 months, we were ready for taking our first clients. We call them farm workers rather than service users. And in our first week, 3.5 years ago, we had 2 clients. Amazing. For us, that was really interesting to kind of do it for real. So we had a few volunteers. We were all 100% volunteer at that stage, and we started with 2 people. 3.5 years later, we now look after 50 people a week. And the whole business has changed a fair amount. We've got a lot more skilled at what we do, I would say, and we've also got a lot more experience. So we've been through lots of different things with different people, lots of scenarios, and I think that really helps us now to have a better insight into how we could do it well. And over the next few years, I'm looking forward to seeing how that all develops. I guess an interesting point is what is a care farm? A care farm is a farm. It's it can be anything from a sort of a 1 acre field, I guess, where you could just do a few things with a few people. It can also be a small part of a much larger farm. We have quite a manageable 13 acres, and it's divided up into different fields. We have different activities that go on. We have buildings, we have pens for the animals. So for us, that works really well. But I also know of other care farms where different arrangements work equally well, very well. I would suggest that if you want to take it further and find out more, get in touch with Social Farms and Gardens. They're sort of our national body that look after us, have lots of resources, very, very helpful staff, lots of resources on the website. It's a good website to go to, lots of training material, and it will help you as a prospective care farmer to see some of the things that you might need to think about, and it will be a good introduction, much better than this, I'm sure. Anyway, why a care farm? I think the bottom line really is care. Farming is important. Being outdoors, working with animals, working with the land is really important. The bottom line is the care word. Do you care? If you're interested in people and you want to care for people and you want to see people's lives changed, then I can't think of a better way of doing it than a care farm. It's been a revelation to me. Having come from a world of business, I was a graphic designer and ran a graphic design company. The corporate world was okay when I was younger, but now actually the reality of working with real people, with real issues, with volunteers who are incredibly caring people. I would say that volunteers are the greatest asset that you will ever have. Getting to know fantastic local people who want to give their time, give their energies and their expertise into this amazing opportunity to serve people who are vulnerable is one of the greatest privileges that I know. So definitely working with volunteers, get to know local people. I'm sort of rambling. Let's try and get back on track. A care farm should be an environment where people can feel relaxed and feel safe and be somewhere that they can make friends, where they can learn new skills, where they can benefit from working outdoors. There's so many opportunities just to get alongside people, to talk as you're working, as you're getting your hands dirty together. Working with animals, I think we all know, is therapeutic. Growing vegetables is incredibly therapeutic as well. Having friends, going for walks together, taking the pressure off of out of real everyday life. Those are the kind of things that make the environment of a care farm work really well. I'll give you a couple of stories. We look after people with learning difficulties, with mental ill health, and with dementia. We've recently started working with ex-offenders as well, and we're now looking at moving towards helping some people who are lonely and isolated. Some of those other areas cross over into that field, but not always. So we've got, I've got 100 stories I could tell you, but I'll tell you one or two. We've got a man who comes to us. He's nearly 80. He's got dementia. He's had Alzheimer's for a number of years. He's now actually got prostate cancer as well. But when he first came to us, he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and he thought that his life was over. That was what he said to me. He said, I've been diagnosed and that's it. What's next? So I said, well, come and give us a chance. And he did. And he's been coming along. He's an ex-builder and he works with a volunteer of ours who's a builder. And they do restoration. They've been restoring barns. They've been fixing roofs. They've been laying electrics. They've been doing tiling, everything. He said to me a little while ago, they told me I've got dementia. I don't think they've got that right. I don't think I've got dementia. That is incredible. I mean, that's a miracle because he has got dementia. But as far as he's concerned, he's got his life back. That you can't buy that. You can't put money onto something like that. I'll tell you another story. We've got a young man. He's in his early 20s. He's been with us for a couple of years. When he came to us, he was taking 10 diazepam a day. He could hardly walk. He couldn't lift his head up. He was shuffling along. He fell asleep every afternoon. Within 9 months of being with us and working on the fields and with the animals and just being loved and nurtured and given dignity in his life, he came off of all medication. He's now got a life back which he didn't have before, and there was no prospect of him having that before. And that is just through the environment, through having loving people who are caring for him and giving him the chance to do things. It's astonishing what can be achieved without huge sums of money, without incredible facilities, just a field, some animals. It's amazing. Another story, there's a lady who is now one of our volunteers, but when she came to us, she had quite a serious breakdown. She'd been out of work for a year and couldn't really even go out of the house. She was struggling with all sorts of things, and we just had some baby goats born, and her husband brought her along to have a visit. She managed to come onto the farm, and I gave her a bottle to feed one of the baby goats, which she did, and the smile on her face was wonderful. So I asked her, we had some funding available for people with mental difficulties, and she agreed to come along for initially 12 weeks. In the end, she stayed for 20 weeks. At the end of 20 weeks, not only was she able to function properly, to go outside of the house, to be a good wife with her husband again and have a great relationship back, be a wonderful mother for her children, and do all the things. But she'd been out of work for a year. She went back to work. She decided to go back part-time. She only does 3 days a week because she volunteers for us 1 day a week, and she didn't want to get back into the pressure of having a full-time job again. That was over 2 years ago, I think, probably nearly 3 years ago actually. Not a sign of that depression coming back, those anxious times. She is so fulfilled now. It's been an amazing transformation, and she's one of our greatest volunteers because she knows what it's like to be on the other side. So they're just 3 little stories to give you an indication of the kind of thing that you can do without a huge amount of resources. What have we got? We've got animals. We've got pigs, goats, chickens. We've got alpacas, donkeys. I don't know how we ever live without donkeys. Donkeys are wonderful. We've also got guinea pigs and rabbits. It's astonishing how someone can come. We've got a man who comes to us. He's 6'8". He can come. He's got he's had 2 brain tumours, and he gets quite depressed because of it. A lot of anxiety in his life. He walks in the morning, and you put a little guinea pig in his hands, and he melts. He just becomes this pussycat, and it's incredible to see the transformation. We grow vegetables. We have flowers. We go for walks. We've got lovely areas where you can just walk through the countryside. We have a bird hide that overlooks a small pond, and you can see the wildlife there. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's all therapeutic. So everything that we do is therapeutic. Quick word about the kind of way to get going. I would say if you're starting, get to know your locality, get to know the needs that you have, find out what goes on in your community and what needs there are. It's no good just starting a care farm because it's a nice idea to do it. It is a lovely thing to do, but you'll very quickly get fed up and bored if you're not getting people coming through the door, and if they're not the kind of people that you can actually help, who need the therapies that you can offer. So get to know the local people, get to know social services, get to know the GPs, the CCG, get to know the local authority, get to know the county council. Matthew Lee is a great guy. I've known him for a number of years now, and I can say that he is incredibly supportive. And I think that you would find that if you were to start a care farm in your area. I think that you have to also be keen on networking. You need to be making all those connections. Funding is a big issue. The service fees that we get for people from social services, most of our clients come from social services, they help, but they don't cover all the costs of what we do in an everyday week, especially if we have new projects or building projects that need to do. So you do need to be able to do fundraising. There are lots of agencies around. We use the Suffolk Community Foundation a lot. They're fantastic people, great to partner with. So I would thoroughly recommend that. As I said, go to the Social Farms and Gardens website for more advice, or give them a call. I would say this is only a basic introduction. It's quite a complex sector, so you will need to give it some good time to research it and to decide if this is really what you want to do. But just to recommend it, I would say that starting and running Pathways is the best thing that I've ever done. It's been, and it still is, a lot of hard work. There's a lot of emotional commitment. Getting to know real people in real lives with real difficulties is emotional. But to be in a community of people who are pulling together for a common goal, for common good, to see the smiles on people who have forgotten maybe how to smile, to see self-esteem and confidence grow, and to see people contribute to tasks when in the past maybe they've just been ignored or left on the shelf. Those kind of things are such a privilege to be involved with, and just to be involved with the lives of such incredible people. I can't think of anything more fulfilling. So my recommendation is go for it.